Hey guys, thanks for clicking. Today we're going to do a transmission service on this is an '04 Chevy Tahoe. Let's take a look at what we have and what we need to do this service and see how hard it is. This is going to be fluid and a filter which is inside the transmission pan. So we will drop the pan, we will change that filter and the fluid. Here's what we have, quick reference, body style, so you know, but most of these Chevy transmissions are pretty similar. So we're using ramps today, and really important, especially when you're doing transmission work, block your back wheels. Make sure you block both of them because you're in there, you're messing with the transmission, you could very easily knock it out of gear and then the truck can roll down. So come on guys, safety first, okay? All right, next thing you have to do is you have to confirm what transmission you have in your vehicle, because there's like the 4L80, which is pretty similar transmission, but it's a different filter, different pan. And a lot of times it goes by how many bolts are on the cover. I believe this is what they call a 16 bolt. So we're gonna go under there and just confirm which one we have. And this one also does not have a drain plug on the pan. We're by L480 or 480L. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. That has a drain plug on the pan, which makes it a lot easier if you've ever dropped the transmission pan when it's full. It's kind of a headache. So we are going to use a, it's not a vacuum, but like a suction tool to suck the fluid out. So when we drop the pan, we don't have to deal with it being full. So let's take a look underneath, see which one we have, confirm that we have the right filter, and then go from there. Okay, so here we go underneath. Like I said, there is no drain plug for this. All right, so here's how we're gonna remove the fluid. We use this little fluid transfer pump. Works fantastic. You go right in through the dipstick. So we're gonna remove the transmission dipstick. We'll put that out of the way for the moment. And then we're gonna send this down here, which will go all the way down to the bottom. Nice and easy. All right. Now the battery happens to be on the other side of the truck for this one, so we're just going to use a quick little jump thing, and then the other side, the tube will come down here and will go into pan such as that. So we're just using a jump pack to power this. And then we've got the tube out down here. We're gonna turn it on. All right, so first thing you have to do, because especially on this year Tahoe, you cannot drop the drain pan without lifting the transmission up, because it will not fit between the exhaust pipe and the pan. So the only way to do it is to remove, there's two bolts here to the transmission mount. You have to, I think they're 15 millimeter. And then we'll be able to get a jack underneath here and we'll be able to lift the transmission, because I'm taking the bolts out now, but I'll show you it won't come out because I've done this before and I know that. So that's what we have to do next. We're gonna remove all the bolts from the pan, and then we will jack up the transmission to get the pan out. All right, guys, so we got the pan off. Like I said, it is challenging to get it off. Do the transmission mount. We have a jack lifting and holding that up. I did have to bend this heat shield over here from the converter. I just bent that way a little, because there's a lip here that the pan catches on. And then the most challenging part, sorry about the camera work, I'm doing this on my back, not on a lift. This linkage, you literally have to bend it out of the way. There are two bolts holding this linkage to the transmission, and they come from the top down. Very difficult to get to those bolts if you can get to them bolts. I couldn't, but if you get the pan in the right spot, you just bend this linkage out of the way and it does come out. Now we have to confirm that we have the correct filter and the correct gasket so we can get this back together. All right, so here is the pan. Now, this is really good news, guys, because there is not a lot of dirt or debris. There's no metal pieces. This is what you want to see. You want to see a relatively clean pan. We service this every single year, no matter what. There's a magnet there. No debris on that. So we're going to clean this off, and we're going to confirm that we have the correct gasket and the correct filter. Our pan is clean. This is the magnet. Like I said, make sure you get all that debris off of there. We're going to get our new gasket on, and then we will go back to reinstall the filter first, and then the pan and gasket. There's too many things that are ever easy when you're working underneath the car, but to put this back on, it pretty much slides right up into this hole and sits right there, just like that. Nice and easy. All right, so now we're reinstalling the pan, and we put the new filter in. So important thing is to make sure you have the right part, and I know it's difficult to know that, but the transmission has what they call a deep pan and a shallow pan, and they're two totally different filters. This one has this little dent in the pan, so you need to know that when you get it. They both have 16 bolts. I don't know why they make it so challenging, but they do. So there's some extra things in there, like I said. And then I will show you on the filter that I have on the bench, there's actually a gasket that goes into the transmission. So when the filter comes down, it's two pieces. It's like a little, I don't know if you want to call it a washer, but I'll show you exactly what it is because I have the old one. You want to make sure that that either gets changed or that it's in the right location. Which, like I said, we're doing this on the ground, not on a lift. So you just have to be a little patient and get it back in there correctly. All right. Hey guys. All right, so underneath, we are all wrapped up. We have all our bolts back on. We have everything snugged down, new gasket, new filter inside. Remember, you have to bend this linkage out of the way a little bit, just kind of make sure you bend it back. And then there is this cover that we bent. It's like a heat shield for the catalytic converter. You just might want to bend that back, make sure it's not hitting anything. And then take a towel and clean everything off so you can make sure that when you refill your transmission that nothing's leaking. So the cleaner you do it, the better. And then we did put our two transmission mount bolts back in, and we gooped them with anti-seize just because they were rusted a little bit. So you can't go wrong with anti-seize. That's all cleaned up. So now we are, or should hopefully be done with the bottom side of this job. Let's go back up top, and I want to show you that gasket that I was talking about where the filter goes into the transmission. So let's head up there. Okay, so I want to show you the two different gaskets. Not gasket, filter. So this is the AC Delco. Now this is for what they call the shallow pan. It's much thinner, but it is actually a different shape because there's a corner on it that does not match up to the other one. I'm going to show you the deep one. This is the old one that came off. But not only is there a thickness difference, you can see when it goes this way, here, you put them side by side. You see how this one has this angle, and you'll see it right on your transmission pan. I pointed it out earlier. There's like a dent in the pan where this goes, and this one does not have that corner. So this is for the shallow pan, and this is for the deep pan. Because I know it's really frustrating, unless you buy both like I did, to make sure you have the right one. They don't always know in the auto parts store. The VIN number doesn't always tell you exactly which transmission it is. So anyway, that's just a note so you know the difference between the two filters. And the other piece I was telling you about is this piece here. This actually goes up into the transmission, and then this goes into it like this. You can change this, you can not change this, that's up to you. But just make sure that if it comes out, that when you put the new filter in, that it's in there. I suggest changing it, but it's just a little rubber gasket, and that's how you know. Because when you put your transmission filter up into the transmission, it'll push into this and it'll hold, it'll stay there. If this part wasn't there, the filter would fall out. So make sure it's not lost somewhere in your transmission. Make sure you have the new one on there correctly. Just a tip. I think we covered everything underneath. You have that bracket, you have the deep pan and the shallow pan. Like I said, I showed you the deep pan has that mark on it. I showed it earlier in the video. I don't have a picture of it. And I don't have a picture of what the shallow pan looks like. But there are two. I don't know why. That's just the way they made it. Now that we have everything buttoned up on the bottom, we're going to put our fluid back in. Usually you're going to get about 4 quarts of fluid to a change, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but we're going to go ahead and refill the transmission. So I'm using Fram. It's the Dextron 6. That's what it calls for. So we have everything buttoned up. We put in 4 quarts of fluid. So we now have to start it up. We're going to take it down. We got to let it warm up. We're going to check all our positions and make sure that it's shifting properly. You really have to warm it up to check the fluid properly, but we're going to see how it goes, and then we will bring it back in. We will put it back up on the ramps, and obviously we will visually check and make sure that nothing is leaking anywhere. All right, guys, so that's it, start to finish. I hope I covered everything. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Check it out, and check out the links in the description for the parts and stuff that we used to do. I'm sorry, I'm falling over. To do this job. Thanks, everybody. Peace.